morning! This is Tom Brady! Say hi, Tom. He's not happy. That's okay. He's never happy. He still gets lots of lovins today. A little bit more. A little bit more. Oh, that's probably not a safe place. There we go. Are you ready? Let's get you done. He gets a 2 guard all over, or a 4 all over, which means I'll probably be doing a 5/8 in reverse with a clipper back. And a cute little Yorkie face. We try to clear all the skunkies. And his tongue is perpetually always hanging outside of his mouth, so we have to be extra careful around that side of his face. Alright, baby, ready? Almost done, I know. Hold on. Got such tiny little nails. They can be a little hard to get to when you're trying to grind. Ah! I can't wait to groom Charlie Brown. Alright, ready? Hold on, baby. I know, my love. Oh! I know. We're already almost done. I know. This is not your favorite part by any means. There we go. Almost done. We're already almost done. I know. 5 more seconds. I'll hold you up because you're sliding. Okay. And another side. Good job. I know. There we go. All better. Some ears. Ooh, yeah, they need some cleaning out. So as with every video, I am picky about whose ears I pluck and whose ears I don't. Most of the time, unless the ear looks extremely impacted or just desperately looks like it needs to breathe, I won't pluck ears, or at least not very thoroughly, because there's an ongoing debate in the grooming community of whether or not this is something we should be doing, due to the fact that when you pluck ears, sometimes it can cause little micro tears in the skin. Oh, I don't know how that happened. It's different than the stats then. Sorry, it can cause different micro tears in the skin. And so if there's pre-existing bacteria, because we don't really cause ear infections, it's kind of hard for us to do. But if there's pre-existing bacteria in the ear and then you create micro tears, that bacteria can get into the ears, can get deeper into the skin and cause an already pre-existing issue to exacerbate. Tom Brady's one of the few that I pretty much thoroughly clean his ears, because if he gets really bad, compacted, gross ears. So if I don't clean them out very well, he tends to be one of those that gets a really bad ear infection after. I'm very gently using my hemostats. I'm not really using the hemostats to clear anything, to grab and pull anything, as much as I'm just kind of using them to move some of the hair around so I can grab it easier with my fingers. Because it's all just like matted down on itself. It's an ongoing issue with Brady over here. He has always kind of been this way. It is not a lack of care on mom and dad's part. They've taken to the vet over and over about this. Ooh. But he just keeps, he's always had this issue before anybody plucked his ears as well, so it's not like I'm causing the issue either. Ooh, hold on, there's a big chunk of wax. Let me see if I can put some tweezers on it and pull it out a little. There it is. There it is. And I'm really, at this point, just using the tweezers, or not the tweezers, the hemostats, to really just pick up the chunks of wax that are clogging his ear canal, because he's not emptying his ear canal naturally as well as he should. I think that's about it for that one. Now, granted, I'm not a vet, guys, so, you know, to each their own. Is plucking good? Is plucking bad? There's science that both supports both of them. I've had vets tell me to do both, like don't pluck them and pluck them. It's really dependent on the pet owner, the pet, their needs. So I usually do very basic plucking, and I don't go too crazy. Basically just pull out only the dead hair that I see is clearly just hanging out, just hasn't been able to come out, or any hairs that I feel like are going to cause issues. And those hairs I identify by the hairs that they're like really brown and stained in nature, like his face here, and they're deep inside the ear, and those are the ones that if I leave in, they tend to get really bad ear infections after, so I tend to try to be really thorough about those. Yeah, not using the hemostats to really pluck anything. I'm really just using it to kind of move the earwax around in a way that I can start grabbing it a little bit better. It's almost done here. Oh, that's better. Okay, and then I'm going to do an ear flush. I'm going to put him in the tub in a second, and I'm just going to flush his ears out with some ear cleaner that I have. And then we'll let his ears naturally dry. It's just got one chunk of wax right here. It doesn't, there it is. Hold on. I know, it's a big chunk of wax, dude. I know, mother. Let me see. I know, baby. I know. I'm not doing this to hurt you, I swear. It's just a big chunk of wax right there. Got it. Okay. Alright, so let's get you in the tub. Tubby. I've already heated up the water. I'm going to be using the frothing method today. I'm going to flush his ears first real quick. No, you can't pet the dog. Sean, it's not your dog. Sean Tucker's a neighbor of mine. And he's like, can I pet the dog? I'm not even in the same neighborhood. Okay, let's flush your ears. Ready? And flushing the ears is just that. It's some ear cleaner I have that's meant for flushing. You put it in the ear and then you just force a lot of it through the ear so that it flushes out, tries to remove a lot of the debris. And then I'm going to use I don't know if I have any cotton towels. That's okay. I'll use a little bit of a towel, but let that run for a second so that I don't freeze it. There we go. Nice and warm water. There it is. So frothing is a method. I'll show you how to do it. You put a little bit of shampoo, a little bit of water. If you're asking for the exact ratio, I don't have it. Sorry guys, I listen to the ancestors until they tell me it's enough. So, and then what you do is you get a mixer and you mix it until it's nice and frothy and bubbly. have this nice, beautiful frothed up mixture. And what frothing does is it basically mixes up the shampoo and water to the point where it's nice and bubbly and it's nice like this creamy texture. And these bubbles, this is the theory behind it, penetrate deeper into the skin and into the fur, creating a better clean. Whether or not it's scientifically backed is yet to be determined. However, a lot of the groomers I've introduced to frothing, brand for ear cleaner, sorry. A lot of the groomers that I use for frothing is, a lot of the groomers I've introduced to it said that it worked really, really well for them, that they love it. I also think it just leaves the dog smelling better because I don't know what it is, but the bubbles help the aroma of the shampoo penetrate a little deeper. But for ear cleaning, I use a couple of different solutions, but this is the main one I like to use, Best Shot Medicated Ear Treatment. It's not medicated, but it's MED. And it's a really good brand. Every time I flush a lot of dogs' ears out that have had chronic ear issues, it's relieved some of the symptoms. I'm never going to get rid of an issue because I'm not a vet, but it does relieve some of the symptoms for a little while, so mom and dad can manage it for a bit. But you're going to pour the frothed mixture directly on the dog and then scrub it in. So.
I think you know Tom Brady.
Now, from what I've been told, you put the froth mixture on the dog before you get the dog wet. Why? I don't know. That's just how the frothing method works. Got a little poop stuck back here, sorry, but... Now, Tom Brady has sensitive skin, so I am using Best Shot MED shampoo on him. We're medicated. And it's a I always say hydro. It's a chlorhexidine mixture. It's like a percentage less than what you get at the vet's prescribed. I think vets normally prescribed anywhere between 4 to 10%. This is a 3% chlorhexidine mixture that also has a conditioning treatment in it. And you let it sit for a few minutes. And it's helped relieve a lot of the dogs. I live in San Antonio, Texas. A lot of the dogs have itchy issues. This has helped relieve a lot of the dog's itchiness. Now, it's not a cure-all. After a couple of days, the dogs get right back to being itchy because a lot of the allergens are simply in the air, but it provides a little bit of relief, and that's what I'm here for. And then I'm going to use the Tropiclean Blueberry Facial. I have them in these tiny things to kind of control waste. So I basically only allow myself a certain amount per day. And I'm going to use the Tropiclean on his face. What's the water to shampoo ratio? That's a hard one. So if you're using it from a pump, I usually do 1 pump to like 1/3 of a measuring cup of water. So if I'm looking at this measuring cup, right, I'll fill it like 1/3 of water, so about here or so. And I usually only do like 1 pump, and that should be more than enough for the frothing ratio. It really also depends on the shampoo you're using. A lot of shampoos will dilute totally differently. So if your shampoo has a higher dilution ratio, then you can probably use less of it. If it has a lower dilution ratio, you'll probably need to use a little more. But it also depends on what the shampoo's for. Like a lot of medicated shampoos, you shouldn't overly dilute them. They're meant to be applied directly onto the dog. All right, baby, ready? I gotta wet your face a little bit to scrub it good. Brady. We gotta talk about these. He's got really bad eye boogies and eye crusties. So I'm gonna put a little conditioner just on those crusted areas real quick and see if we can try to loosen some of that up. We'll see how that goes. What? So I'm using Ultra Plenish conditioner, and it's just really moisturizing, and I'm gonna let it sit a little bit on his face, only because he has a perpetually sticking out tongue, and that causes a lot of crusties, and you know, he has overactive tear ducts. Tom Brady's just kind of a mess when it comes to his allergies. He's dealt with them forever. He's Tom Brady. Mom and Dad take really good care of him, but he's just one of those dogs that's just very sensitive to environmental changes and stuff like that, so his allergies tend to get bad all the time. See if we can get some of this off. You ready? I know, I'm sorry. I know. Alright, all done. Let me get him a towel, poor guy. Here we go. Oh, Steven Universe. I don't know if y'all ever seen Steven Universe, but it's the greatest show ever. We don't have to fight. You can make a change. Sorry, buddy. Got bad eye crusties, man. Now it's really important for the drying process that you towel dry really well beforehand. Now I know a lot of people who have velocity dryers that are strong enough that you can just blow the dog off with the water. I've done that and in a pinch, and it really does take longer. Like, just towel dry the dog as best as you can, really dry. You want it damp, not dripping, and it's going to cut your drying time quite a bit. I also usually leave the towel under the dogs for the first few minutes of the drying process so that any water that they dry off doesn't get all over the table, stays on the towel. Also helps with the drying process because they're not standing and constantly getting wet areas. So I'm using Best Shot Conditioning Finishing Spray. I'm not going to do much else on his fur because he does have sensitive fur. So it's just basically a conditioning treatment. Just a little bit of breath spray. I'm going to let it sit for a second, and while it's sitting, I'm going to try to take all the gunkies from his eyes and face while he's wet. Because it's a little bit wetter, it's a little bit easier to deal with. I can pull it from the skin a little bit. You don't want to rip it off because a lot of the times you'll end up ripping off skin. You kind of want to just like coax it. So instead of just taking it off because it's in my flea comb, I'm literally just going centimeter by centimeter and trying to coax it out. He's still probably going to have some sores underneath because it's really tough on here. I'm actually going to scissor some of that. I'm not going to keep trying to comb all of it out. Will you love her happily ever after? Sorry guys, my playlist is really weird. I like everything, so there we go. Yeah, he's still got a little bit of an open sore underneath, but that's okay. He always tends to have something. Okay. And and then the rest, some of this, I'm gonna go ahead and just scissor out now. I know, you're not happy about it. But I'm not gonna torture you. Since he's already got such sensitive skin, I'm not gonna sit here and comb out a lot of this underneath his chin, because it's already like, his tongue perpetually hangs out of his mouth forever. And because of that, he's constantly getting saliva on his chin. When you leave the skin wet for long periods of time, eventually the skin will start getting weaker and it will open up a lot easier. It will lead to sores, it will lead to skin issues, yeast issues, stuff like that, sensitivities. So in his situation, because he's always producing some saliva onto his skin, he's constantly keeping his skin wet, I go ahead and I don't try to brush out the matting on his face. I simply, a lot of times, just scissor it out or shave it out. Now, you see me scissoring. You should normally shave mats that are close to the skin. His are hanging off like they're just chunks of food, which is why I'm scissoring them out. But yeah, in his situation, he probably would do better with a clean face, but he kind of looks ugly with it, so mom opts for just a really good clean around the mouth. And those are like my 4-inch shears, so. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it later. You can just let me know. Let me know when I show up. Hey, can you record it? And I usually do it live, but if for any reason I only do 1 live a day. So for any reason I don't, I have already done a live, I'll still record it and then I'll just upload the video later. Okay, ready? I know, drying time. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Alright, getting this guy dry. Always wear ear protection. If I can find my ear protection, that would be useful. Ear protection. Okay, well, I guess I'll just listen to my headphones today. Oh, there it is. Alright, hearing protection. Let's get you dried. 1, 2, 3. checking the time. Yeah. Gotta pick it up a little here. That's okay. We had a late start to the day, but that's alright. The grooming process on him is actually very quick, so. Good luck. Money and fame. Oops. Works better if my inverter's on. Alright, using a 40 on his feet with the flipper back. Much better if you actually put the weight all the way on. Good job. Now, because Tom Brady's, sorry, I don't know what that was doing. Because Tom Brady's skin is so sensitive, I'm not going to use blades directly onto his skin other than what I just did, which is on his feet. And so for his sanitary, I'm going to take my shortest guard comb that I have. Sorry, my phone is sitting on my guard comb. So it's my 1/8 guard comb. And this is what I'm going to do his sanitary with. And basically it's just to prevent any clipper burn because he does get irritated very quickly. Every other founding fathers were old. Sorry guys, if you've never watched my videos before, me singing is kind of part of it. We'll have to deal. Another 50. Okay. And I'm using my Endless Pulse VR cordless. People have mixed reviews for them. I really like them, and I have carpal tunnel issues, so their weight doesn't bother me, but I guess it's also because I'm used to having the clipper back now, so these are actually kind of light in comparison. Almost. I need to just finish cleaning up your panty. Thank you. Alright. So now the fun and quick part is going to come. And I'm going to go ahead and take the clipper back with a 5/8 reverse all over. Reverse. And get them done. Done enough, then tell your story. There we go. Right. Now with the clipper back, what I've learned is instead of doing the long bold stroke, like the long strokes you normally do, so when you're grooming with the grain or even against the grain without a clipper back, you normally do a long stroke, right? With the clipper back, I've learned shorter strokes are actually better. So I don't sit there and go all the way over. I take sections, and I do the section first because the clipper back will leave lines if you don't follow the grain exactly or if you don't cut it very precisely. So with the clipper back, I have learned, like I said, short strokes, either direction. Even with the grain, I do shorter strokes. I don't usually do very long strokes unless it's a very, very big dog. And I know that the grain is the same in all the general area that I'm shaving. So like I did an Australian Shepherd. She's yay big. She's a chunky girl. Been doing her for years. But her body's so big that I could take one strip down her back and it looked really beautiful. The clipper back did an excellent job. But for the most part, you gotta go short, quick strokes. You also gotta hold the skin taut. It's like grooming a cat. Gotta hold the skin taut so that the skin doesn't get sucked up into the clipper back. Because that's the number one complaint that I hear about the clipper back. I love it. I've loved it since I started using it in December of 2020. And I've been grooming for almost 10 years without it. So I really enjoy it. Now, granted, I still groom out of my salon sometimes too. And I don't have a clipper back in there. And I'm just as, I think I'm relatively just as quick. The haircuts come out very similar. Just in mobile, it's a little bit easier to, the clipper back makes it easier to keep going without having to clean up the fur because it is such a small area. Versus a salon, you kind of can like let the fur go for a little while. You can just push it to the floor or something. In the mobile, it's not that simple because the area is so small. You just constantly walk in it. You're taking it places. So I think they have their uses in the correct facilities. I think eventually I will be getting a full-size salon with a clipper back in it too, just, you know, for anybody who does want to use it. But I'm also using wide guard combs right now, which means I have the money. My tax return came in, guys, so I have the money to buy the actual set. So I'm using the set that you can buy, and it's like a 10 blade, and then a couple of the guard combs, like 4 of them. So I'm going to actually invest in the 30 blade and the set that comes with every single size guard comb that you normally get in guard comb sets with regular size blades. But wide blades are really great for any size. They're even better for doodles. But wide blades are really great for any size. And they're 30% bigger than regular blades. And they just tend to make things a little bit faster and easier. It's a hit and miss with the brand, I think. But you also have to be really careful because wide blades, in my book, are way easier to break. If you don't put on the guard comb just right and it like starts flipping off a little and it's like making that clink sound, you'll very easily break a tooth on the blade. But I love wide guard combs, and I'll show you the difference. Regular size, 30% bigger. Now what I'm doing is I'm switching to a 2 guard comb, or if you don't have the same guard comb length or box that I do, because I know different brands have different boxes, I'm switching to a 3/8, which is basically equivalent to a 4, especially with the grain. And I'm going to go ahead and now take it down. And it's really great for like these crevices here, because you know that there's like a tendon, a muscle, like the bone opens up right here. And so it really pulls out that hair from that little itty bitty space without having to sit there and like fight with it for 20 minutes. It also pulls the hair. Granted, this is where you do have to be a little careful, because it not only pulls the hair from the armpits, if you graze it appropriately, it should only pull the hair. But if you press it too hard, it can start pulling the skin. So you have to, it's just like kind of cat grooming with the clipper back. You just have to hold the skin taut. You gotta be sure that you're not rushing through it. The clipper back itself is going to make the grooming process faster for you as it is. There's no need to rush it after that, you know? So, already almost done with him. Like I said, short strokes. I'm not doing these long strokes down his whole body. I'm just taking chunks at a time. I'm going to switch to a regular size guard comb for inside his legs, just because he's so teeny. I'm going to lift him up, hold him up for a second. I know, Tom Brady, you hate this part. You don't like being held up. I know. Come here, chunky monster. Good boy. I know. tough for you. That's tough for you, I know. I've been doing Tom Brady for years. He's a very sweet dog. He's just getting older. It hurts. It hurts my heart when I see my clients getting older. It hurts my heart. Almost done. I just wanna hold you. Alright, almost done, almost done. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to my smaller guard combs. My regular size guard combs, I guess is the way I should say that. Don't fall off. I'm watching you. Don't do it. Just so I can get inside his legs to sanitary all that area a little bit better. He doesn't have any testicles, so I'm not really worried about sucking in any balls into my clipper bag. And since I did almost the equivalent of a 10 on his Sammy, I do go a little bit of a reverse with my 3/8 comb to blend it in a little on his feet. I'll go in his armpits again. Perfect. I need your love. Love it. Why do you keep backing up? Tom, we gotta talk about this backing up thing that you keep doing right now. Unnecessary. I'm ready. Why are you backing up on me? Oh. It's always so terrifying when they're teeny, isn't it? When they're like, don't fall off the table. Don't hang yourself even for a second. And that's like the risk I take, you know, when I'm doing these lives. Is like, this is grooming uncensored, guys. And you're going to see some of these dogs struggle with me to the point where they, like, try to jump off the table. And I'm catching them and fighting with them. And it's a very real look into my industry. It's a very stressful job. You know, my husband sometimes doesn't even register how hard my job is because I get home and he expects me to have a lot more energy than he understands that I have after the day. There's a disconnect in his brain and a lot of people's brains. I think that I have that they think that just because I'm doing my passion, I'm never tired. That my job is so enjoyable that I'm refreshed somehow at the end of the day, and I am not. My job is exhausting. I want to go home and sleep. I actually just want to go to sleep after him, although I have a full day. He's only my first dog, but you can absolutely adore what you do and still be exhausted by it by the end of the day. So now I'm doing some round teddy bear feet. I'll work on his face. I'm going to text my other client in just a minute because I am running a little behind today, which is fine. I usually catch up. I have a good spacing throughout my appointments today, so plenty of time for me to catch up. My number one rule is for my company, don't rush. I'd much rather, honestly, I'd much rather reschedule somebody than to have my groomers try to rush through the day if they become too far behind. I highly value my quality over my quantity any day of the week. However, the difference is I charge hourly. So, What that does is it keeps my groomers more focused on the quality, because they can actually technically make more money working on one dog for 3 hours rather than trying to squeeze in rather than try to squeeze in 2 dogs in those 3 hours if you count drive time. Because I have an hour minimum charge of $65. So I charge $65 an hour, or the equivalent of $1.08 a minute. And let me tell you, it's made a huge difference in the quality for a lot of the groomers I've introduced that to. They're really, it's not about busting out 400 dogs a day now. It's about getting really good quality and taking the time to do the scissor work. And I never, especially scissor work, I never rush scissor work, because that's a sharp object. If you try to rush it, you're going to end up cutting the dog. It happens every single time. Don't do it. But that is something I'm trying to make more common in the grooming industry, is charging by the hour, because we are a service, like a mechanic or a plumber. And they don't just charge you for a flat fee to fix your car. They charge you for the labor rates, and they charge you for the, we are a service, and we are a service that demands a decent wage. And so now the only issue you truly run into is that there are some groomers that are faster than others. So a dog that gets, I can do in 45 minutes, one of my groomers may take an hour and 15. And that does cause a little bit of a disconnect in the pricing. So what I try to do to average that out is I try to see how long it averages for a couple of us to do the same dog. And then I average it out, and we kind of stick to that price point, So it's like, if I take 45 minutes and another groomer takes an hour 15, and another groomer takes an hour and 10. Okay, well then we'll charge for maybe an hour 5. And that'll be the general price that we charge this dog, So it really just depends on each dog. The hourly rate also rewards the dogs that are well maintained and well behaved. And it inspires owners to stay on the correct schedule, because if not, when I got to demat your dog for 4 hours in in a year, when you decide to only do your once-a-year appointments, they pay me $65 an hour for 4 hours. And they have to deal with that. So a lot of my customers are now always on a particular schedule, because they know if they stay on the schedule, it's going to be cheaper in the long run. So that's my take on that, which is why, even though I'm running late, I'm not stressing about it. My clients are also really cool clients. I've had a lot of them trained to understand that grooming takes a few minutes, and if you don't want me to rush through your dog, I'm not going to rush the dog before or after you. So we'll do what needs to be done and take our time. So I'm going to pause the video for just a split second so I can text my next appointment that I'm going to be running a few minutes behind. So give me just a moment. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Here I am. Okay, so all texted, all done. Let us work on your face, Tom Brady. So I'm going to take out my little 2 or 4 inch shears, however tiny they are. I'm going to take those back out again and use them again on him, because he's so teeny. So these, they're like at CVS. They're little facial shears, human facial shears. And I know that like PetSmart's starting to sell them now too, but like CVS, $10. And they allow so much control when you're scissoring around eyes and lips. Now I know groomers that will shave around the eyes, and I know groomers that will shave on the lips. I am not one of those groomers. There is nothing wrong with that method. I just personally don't like doing it. I think it looks a little weird. It's hard for me to do it in such a way that it looks cute. I have seen groomers who do it that make it look cute. I'm just not one of those people. And there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody has their method, and that's okay. So. And with Tom Brady especially, I really can't shave around anything, because he, like I said, he gets irritated real fast. So if I shave around anything, he's end up going to scratch it anyway, or it's going to become red and irritated, because it just gets irritated so quickly. Using my thinning shears to slowly just go a little bit down the nose, as well as cut into the corners of the eyes a little bit here, so that we can clear up where all these eye gunkies. And then I'm switching back over to my 4 inch shears to really get close to the skin and clear it out so that his eye gunkies don't come back bad every time. I mean, his eye gunkies were a little bit bad this time, but not as bad as like when we first started doing him. And it's because we take his eyes so close. There we go. So when he takes a little bit of time to grow out. I know, Bubba's. It's probably my next appointment texting back, but I will look at it in a minute. I don't respond too often to text messages when I'm grooming, so I know, I'm sorry. Right there. I'm blowing right in your face. If it makes you feel any better, I brushed my teeth this morning, so it should be kind of minty fresh. I haven't had anything else to eat. Alright, so now I'm going to take these same shears, and I'm going to grab his lip, and I'm going to scissor his lips. Now I have his lips between my fingers. Not every dog's going to tolerate you grabbing their lips this way, guys. So, this is a method to only be used for the dogs who tolerate it. But it's like thinning ears or trimming ears. You grab the lips, you put the leather between your fingers, and then you trim everything around it. So that if anything, if you do end up cutting into something, you cut into yourself before you cut into the dog. Bottom of his lip too. I know, buddy. And so this is where his tongue hangs out all the time because he doesn't have teeth here. So I'm taking this whole area very, 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 very close with my thinning shears or with my little 4-inch shears. In order so that when it is sticking out, it's not constantly laying on fur, getting stuck on something. Okay, ready? It's like a delicate surgery here. Come here, baby. Very precise cuts. I think being a doctor would have been cathartic for me. To a point, but like I cannot deal with like dogs in pain at any point, like, so leave that to the people who have stronger stomachs than me. And I'm just cutting his whole chin at this point little by little because I want it to breathe. I want to clear some of this hair out. Again, it's wet all the time because his tongue is sticking out, so giving it a chance to breathe. I know about this. Okay. You've got your face boogies everywhere. Okay. Now I'm just using my thinning shears. A lot of people default to like they're straight through their curves to get most of the fur off. Because we maintain him so well, I don't need to take as much fur off as a thinning shear as a curved or straight would take. So I'm just taking my thinning shears. Now, some people don't use thinning shears. More power to you. I wish I had that patience. I wish I had that capability of trusting myself enough with my straights that thinning shears are like non-existent for me. But I do not. I am a failure in that sense. So everybody's got a different grooming method, and that's okay. I know somebody who only scissors with thinning shears. I know somebody who only scissors with straights. I know people who scissor with only their curve. Everybody's got their thing. I'm taking his chin super short, again, to minimize the fact that his tongue makes everything wet, so his chin tends to hold on to anything it comes in contact with. Now he does have hanging skin. He's got a little flab of skin there, so I'm thinning shearing it close, but I can't go too much closer because if not, I'm going to go straight into skin. Now for his head, this is a trick I found, and I can't remember who taught it to me. It was on a YouTube video years ago. But what you do is you brush forward, right? Then you pick up the hair on each side, Okay, brush, so you brush up almost into a mohawk, right? And then what you do is you thinning shear in a crescent motion. So now that I have all his hair up, I'm going to thinning shear in a crescent-like motion. Now this is for layering without having to take a guard comb to the head. It leaves just a really nice, soft, layered look while also taking length off the top of the head, so the top of the head doesn't look so much more ridiculously long than the rest of the face. So it's a really cool trick I learned. I don't want to start naming out names that I think I might have learned it from and be wrong, and then I get in trouble for like not crediting the right people. But it was on YouTube. It was done at a show, and somebody caught it on their cell phone camera. And again, this was a couple of years ago, probably at least 3 or 4. But it's a method I've used since I've seen it. And I was like, that was such a great idea. And so I normally hand scissor my teddy bear faces anyway. He's getting like a mixture of a teddy bear and a Yorkie face. If you don't know the difference, Yorkie faces are more square, teddy bear faces are more round. He kind of gets a little bit of a mix. So he gets like a square bottom but a round top and ears. So it's just how we do Tom Brady. It's how we make him cute. Every dog's face is not going to be looking great with a perfect Yorkie face, and every dog's face doesn't look great with a perfect teddy bear face. So you got to kind of really pay attention to what the dog looks like and just kind of modify it. Grooming is all about modification. You learn something and you develop it and do it your way. And that's the best thing you can do. Should tumble and fall. And I'm kind of giving him false tipped ears. I'm not actually going down to the leather, but I am getting, now I'm using my curves. And I'll soften it up if I need to with my curves or my thinning shears. Guys, I can't remember the correct words today. I haven't had coffee, so that's probably why. By me, oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Now I'm going to thinning shear just the side of his face a little bit, so that it doesn't stick out so much. Okay, hold on, let me get your face. It's a little bit long right here. Tongue is inside. Alright, cool. Gotta be extra careful with that tongue because it just hangs out. Sometimes it hangs out all the way and sometimes it only hangs out a little, but it hangs out. We gotta watch for it. Alright, hold on. Now with teddy bear faces or anything, you always actually want to mess it up a little before you consider it done, because when the dog shakes its head later, that beautiful, perfectly laying coat that you scissored it up to is not going to look good anymore. So you kind of want to mess up the head and then scissor based off of what it looks like messed up. And you end up getting really great results doing it that way. So I get a lot of people who, they send me the picture of the dog, 2 days later after the dog's shaken and messed all its hair up after I trimmed it, and it still looks super cute. They're like, nobody's ever been able to keep a teddy bear fed up, as soon as he gets inside the house and shakes his head. And it's because I sit there and I mess up the head every time. On purpose. I make them shake, I do something so that the head is not... Watch, like I do this a little bit, blow in their ear. Oop! He tried to shake and he flooped. Oh, you flooped. I'm so sorry, my man. I keep forgetting how old you are sometimes, my little dude. I don't think I'm gonna take his ears a little bit shorter on the sides. I'm almost done. I'm like 5 seconds from being done. I'm just trying to get these ears to match. Yeah, I'm going to take this ear a lot. And I have his ear between my fingers, so I have his leather between my fingers. So if I cut into something, I'm going to cut into my own finger first. He's getting irritated because he knows he's very close. He knows the process, and he knows when I start on his ears, he's pretty much done. So he's like, get me inside, woman. But one time the routine works against you. When you do a particular dog for so many years, they figure out your routine, your grooming routine, and then they get excited when you hit a certain point because they're like, oh, this is the end. This is where my freedom finally comes into play. Okay, and then I'm still going to brush his visor forward a little, and I'm going to thinning shear around his visor just a little, blend it into the side of his face. There you go. Tom Brady, I think you are just about that. One little hair. Bother me right here. I say that and then I go and I handle like every other hair, right? So I'm gonna just, I need to know when to call it. There's a point where you start messing with it too much and then it gets ruined, right? So call it, Sierra. I can't. So close. There's just long hairs right here. Guys, I'm not schizophrenic. I really I have to like say things out loud to myself for me to like register enough is enough. So bear with me. All right, so then I'm gonna zoom in on Tom Brady's face. Just keep in mind his lip is gonna look really weird because half his lip has to half his mouth is missing a lot of hair due to the fact that he is got this perpetually hanging tongue. So you can see this really big gap right here, and that's because you see how his tongue is constantly hanging out. So I just scissor all that. That's all gone. So, but there's Tom Brady. All right, guys, say bye. See you later.